Hello, everybody. Welcome to To Be Seen. I'm Brandon Lou, and this is Comic Conversation. And we are talking with my main man, the producer of all things we do here on To Be Seen.
It's me!
It's Joe Dove.
Me indeed.
Co-host. I should say co-host of this dungeon.
Yeah, co-host.
Co-host. Trailer Fiend. Sorry. I'm looking bad in front of the producer. Jesus.
It's all good. It's all good.
And he's a frequent guest on our show, and also, I know it's been a while since I've had
a comic conversation with me.
But I hope you. So, welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you for being one of the main draws on To Be Seen. I cannot thank you enough. Your numbers are flying, and the people are digging what you're doing. So keep doing it. Keep doing it.
You are a treasure.
You are a treasure. I'm just here.
Joe is the guest of the show. If this was just a regular conversation, we could do this over the phone. But we're here with you because we're talking about PeaceMaker.
Are you ready for the dance?
I need some rehearsals.
I need some choreography.
Like there's no way John Cena went up there and did that in one take. There was
definitely not.
Cuts.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about PeaceMaker, which wrapped up last week, or I assume last week, whenever this video goes up. And now that we've had some time to digest all of the emotions and everything we went through, we're going to talk about it with you all. Yeah. So, Joe, PeaceMaker, how you feeling, man?
I love this show. This was like a highlight. This is the first time since I was a kid watching Miami Vice that I've run home, and Thursday night the stream was available. I ran home from work, jumped in front of my TV. Luckily, the missus was not around, so I got to watch PeaceMaker in peace.
Is this a show you could watch with the missus? Because No.
I tried. She was like, "Who's that? Isn't that the wrestler? Why does he have that helmet?" You get all those like questions. And it's like, you know what I mean? So this one was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I would do some of the moves.
Has she watched any of the episodes?
She watched one, and she was, surely confused because of what was going on.
You know what? Understandably so. It's a weird show.
It is a weird show, but it's a great show.
Now, I should have coordinated this better, and I should have got Alicia here because it would have been a whole nother show. For those who are first-time viewers, Alicia is my girlfriend. She's been a guest on the show numerous times, and
she hosts a show called Alternative Angle.
She has the Alternative Angle, which has also been featured on To Be Seen.
Yes.
But I have to reference her because I do watch the show with her.
Nice.
And I don't know what the demographics are like for my shows and To Be Seen and what kind of audience we pull.
18 to 45.
The ladies like PeaceMaker.
They do.
Because we got a whole lot of ass in this show.
There is.
The ladies like John Cena's ass. And I feel that it's important. I put that out there. So if you're a lady watching, if you're interested in seeing John Cena's booty, it's right there in the first episode. Right?
Yeah. Maybe I should start from the beginning. Maybe.
I'm knocking that out of the way because we're probably not going to talk about it later.
Nope.
So ladies, if you're watching and if you need a reason to go check it out, John Cena's butt, you can see that. Yeah.
Watching the whole series, I absolutely adored it. Things got a little murky with the grand finale with the ultimate baddie in this particular series.
We'll talk about that. There were two antagonists.
Right.
But we'll dig into that.
Yeah. Overall, John Cena's character is resurrected, so to speak, from the events that happened in the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Which is also James Gunn. It's another masterpiece of his. And James Gunn, you may remember if you're a Marvelite, he was from the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think he did a phenomenal job in all of the projects he's done. So little fun tidbit, DC has gone several times and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Gunn, here are the keys to the kingdom. They are for you, sir. You can have it." And he's like, "I'm good." But the show's tempo, and the show's pace, I think, was excellent. I think that the cinematography was amazing. It had dark and gritty moments, but you could still make out what was going on in those moments. And that's one of the big gripes I have with the Snyderverse. You can't really see when Batman's beating up people because
Right.
it's so dark. It's just like, what's going on? I can't see. So
I hear what you're saying, and I see why you reference Snyder, but I also feel like that is a big problem in a lot of action movies in general. I need to be able to see the action, and whether it's the dark filters or whether it's close-up camera cuts, trying to get that Jason Bourne kind of look going on.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's Jason Bourne.
Yeah. Being able to not participate in the action, but feel like you're a part of it is a big thing. And I do like James Gunn as a filmmaker, and I do think he really knows how to highlight the visual aesthetic of his programming. Because Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorites, not because I think it has the best plot of all the Marvel films. I just think it has this very clear and colorful aesthetic that draws me in. Like, it's a treat for the eyes and the ears if you're a fan of the awesome mix. That said, PeaceMaker has a bit of an awesome mix of itself.
Yes.
As the co-host of This Dungeon, how did you feel about a lot of the
I was headbanging. Oh yeah,
hair metal, Swedish metal.
Yeah, I mean it was great because like that's a genre that I hadn't been getting into again because I had taken a big pause from it, listening to new age music lately to calm my nerves and to help me with my walks. But going back into hair metal and remembering all these guitar riffs and these anthems, it's just like, oh my God, this is hitting every nail on the head for my nostalgia kick. And it did such a great job, pulling all those great tunes back into my brain. Even straight from the beginning, the whole premise when he finds his first butterfly was based off of a hairband. And it was just so beautifully done that it's like, well, this really meshes so perfectly. And it just made me excited to see where else they were going with the show.
This was a very musically inclined show. All of James Gunn's projects are like this, not just the superhero genre films and TV shows he's developed. Baby Driver was another James Gunn film that was very like the music there, different style completely. It doesn't sound like PeaceMaker, it doesn't sound like Guardians of the Galaxy. But anytime James Gunn gets his hands on a project,
there's going to be music involved.
There's going to be music, and he's going to be digging through the crates.
Yeah,
I thought it was particularly important how music is a factor, because whether it's he's in the bedroom with a butterfly lady and he's digging through her crates, or sitting in the van with the rest of his team listening to music, talking about music, how much music played into it. And we see that in the intro, people emulating the dance on TikTok. It's quite the phenomenon.
It is. And
do you have a favorite song? Is it the theme song?
It's the theme song. It's the theme song. It just every time. It's every time. Do you want to take it? Give your dog the invisible bone. Such a great show that showcases the acting prowess of John Cena.
It really does. The whole cast was great, but the role of leading man lands on the very broad shoulders of John Cena, who began in the Suicide Squad.
Right.
Like that's where we're introduced to John Cena's character. But he was a side character. He wasn't really like the main.
Right.
He was someone that we got to see bounce off and riff off of Idris Elba. And now he's the star. Do you think he successfully carried the show?
Yes, I do.
I don't even know why I asked. Of course he did.
Yeah, he did. I totally think he carried the show perfectly. Apparently he's not taking the suit off, because every time I've seen him appear on late shows that I enjoy watching on YouTube in the morning, he's in the PeaceMaker suit. It's like he's become PeaceMaker.
Yes,
he's taken the role so to heart that I think if I ever run into him on the street, he'll be in the PeaceMaker costume.
It is probably the best publicity he's done for the show, because like he's made his television appearances, he's made his YouTube show appearances, but most of the time he's in the suit. And even if you didn't watch the Suicide Squad, even if you don't know who John Cena is, you're wondering who the hell is the clown in the suit. on Jimmy Kimmel.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you're intrigued and you go and watch the show, which this is one of the largest audiences that HBO Max has had for one of its series. And John Cena has gone and carried the weight and made it happen.
I think it is probably his most successful role, and not just because the superhero genre in movies seems to have the most eyes on it, but because other movies where he's been the star, so to speak, there was either a co-star to share it with, or he was voice acting. Like he was the voice actor for the movie Ferdinand. He was the lead character. He was Ferdinand, a bull, and I didn't watch the movie, but that was like a leading role that he had. But he was a cartoon character in the movie Blockers, where he plays the parent of a child who may be losing their virginity on prom night. He has not only the actors playing the kids, because the plot is following the kids, but it's also following the other parents who've joined him in this plan to cock block the prom.
The prom, right?
Yeah. So this is the first time where it's really just been John Cena front and center as the star, and I think he passed with flying colors.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that this is his big moment. I think this is going to be his full-time transition into acting. I don't think we're going to see him in the WWE anymore, unless it's just to do a quick cameo, hype
He's
up a
gonna
crowd
have to make plans for it. He's got to pencil in some time. To that way it doesn't interfere with the acting schedule.
Right.
That way he doesn't injure himself, and then they got to push, filming back. But yeah, I think he's passed the test.
Done. He's done. Exactly. He, like The Rock and Batista before him, he's made the transition properly, and so many wish to do so, but he's done it, and he's done a great job at it. And I'm digging every moment of watching him in this show, and I'm sad that there's no season 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, but we do know the season 2 is coming.
Yes, it was announced right at the end, at the premiere of the last episode, that season 2 would be going forward. And James Gunn is coming back. So we can expect more of the same hijinks, great comedy, and great music in this wonderful series. So I'm super excited.
Let's talk about the show. It features Christopher Smith, who is the PeaceMaker. He has risen from
the dead.
Plot devised himself out of death.
Yeah.
By, because he was shot in the neck, but he was saved. I mean, they showed that in the ending credits of the movie anyway. That it seemed that he survived. It was a grazing bullet that didn't hit any major arteries, and he was still able to breathe, and so he lived.
Mm-hmm.
He was released from the hospital. He believes it's a mistake. He's looking for Amanda Waller.
Right.
Right. And rightfully so, because he is being tracked by people who need him for a mission. By 2 groups. There's this initial group, and Amanda Waller is keeping tabs as well, but she's not part of the group.
Yeah, she's not. He's not a mainstay on her radar.
No. What it is Amanda Waller has her daughter infiltrate the group. The group is following Suicide Squad. They need him. I mean, they're following John Cena, PeaceMaker. And so they have a mission, and that is to take down this butterfly thing. And we find out more about the butterflies as the show goes on, because they keep Chris in the dark about it the whole time. They don't want to let him know.
Right. Because he would react unceremoniously. It would be like, whoa,
Yep. So we've got this mission. The mission involves aliens. All the while, he also has he's reunited with his father, this racist man who serves as a hell of a protagonist. He's reunited with Eagly, the perfect pet.
I want an Eagly.
Eagly is like the baby Groot, the baby Yoda of the show.
Yeah, everybody probably wants it.
Everything needs some merchandise that can be turned into a Funko Pop.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably the best thing I'll be able to do is get an Eagly on my shoulder with a Funko Pop. He even kicked ass, for majority. It's an interesting dynamic with the character, the sidekick, because you would expect, okay, it's an eagle, it's not going to really do much, but it gets quite involved, and not only some of the humor of the show, but some of the action too.
Right.
And I was pleasantly surprised because I don't know what if they use CGI or like a stop motion prop or something, but they did such a good job with it that
They do a really good job.
I was like, I'm like looking for the moments where it's CGI and
looks a bit fake.
And it didn't. Silly. And I'm like, whoa, movie magic. Welcome. Well done.
I did expect that, like, the parts where they're like actually having contact, like the hug.
Yeah.
That I expected that to look a bit weird, surprisingly.
It didn't.
No, it looked pretty damn cool. We go and we have this unit that PeaceMaker's with. His best friend Vigilante also joins in for the hijinks. We find out about aliens being on our planet, and it serves as the second antagonist for PeaceMaker. So you've got the daddy, and we've got the aliens.
Right.
And these are the two things that have to be taken care of because they all kind of unite during the finale as just one big mess that PeaceMaker and the group have to clean up.
Yeah.
Gave us so much. Are you happy with this coming out of Suicide Squad with our antagonists? How do you feel about Daddy and how you feel about the aliens?
All right. So at first the aliens were like, okay, that's very peculiar because they're like, it looked more like wasps than butterflies, but that's neither here nor there. And the way they protrude into your orifices to take over your mind was like, oh my God, it freaked me out. And then it got a little bit strange in the long haul. It's one of the things that I didn't expect that the ultimate baddie would be this slug creature. And it threw me off because if you've got a waspy, butterfly villain, you would think they would be like a hive mind or some type of mechanoid or something.
Mind, technically. Goth kind of ran the
show, right? But
I didn't think of the slug creature as like part of the invading like force. I thought of it just as how they described it. They described it as a cow, which I thought was so I don't know what I was expecting.
Right.
I really don't know. I knew it wasn't actually going to be a cow. When they revealed like this giant slug thing, this giant bug.
Yeah.
Whose teats are being milked for this honey-like substance.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
It was.
That's going on my cons. We're talking about pros and cons later. That's going on my cons.
Yeah. Totally. It threw me off.
But
I like the inner intricacies of how they were manipulating certain individuals in order to get to their basic needs. Like they were getting involved in government, they were getting involved in local police, they were getting involved in so many different spaces.
It seemed like your typical take over the world scenario, but it wasn't really that.
No,
or maybe technically it was, but it wasn't like they wanted to replace all of mankind.
No, they didn't care about that. They just wanted
they just wanted the people who make the choices.
Yeah, they wanted to control the main folks to have a subsidiary so that they can live peacefully on our planet, right? Because theirs went to shite. But it reminded me of Invasion of the Body Snatchers meets Batman because he has all the gadgets and you've got all the aliens coming in to take over people's minds, like the police force. Right. And I thought that was pretty cool, but in the long run, it ended up getting a little bit Doctor Who-ish at the end.
Isn't the complaint to me? I like Doctor Who.
I love Doctor Who, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, the invading alien rather than, some type of super villain. Like we kind of wanted to see him square off against somebody. And we did kind of get that with his dad, not in the way that we anticipated. It's different. It's not like a Batman's comic or show where you're going to face the Joker in the end and like you get through the goons and finally get to the Joker or, Ra's al Ghul.
I mean, not Vigilante, but Vigilante too. Their comic book runs, Vigilante, Peacemaker, don't exactly leave legacies that have there's a ton of villains that come along with it. Like when you think of the Flash, you could think of Trickster, or when you think of Wonder Woman, you can think of Cheetah. It was an ongoing joke throughout the series. If you're a superhero, where's your, oh man, I forget the exact, I believe they said their menagerie or what,
Yeah, his neighbor, his dad's neighbor said all that, right? Yeah.
It's like, where's your supervillains? Like, I do my job.
Yeah.
Like, you want to know what my villains are? They're 6 feet under. It is interesting because there wasn't, there wasn't, but there was the dad who wasn't, didn't give you the finale that you wanted, but you did like him as an antagonist. You preferred him over the aliens.
Yes.
Yes. Talk about that.
Well, first of all, it's the actor. It's Robert Patrick, whom I loved as a kid as the T-1000 Terminator from Terminator 2.
I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, he got old, you know.
Wow. Yeah, people do that sometimes.
Yeah, they do that. But once he got into the scene, I was like, oh, you know the famous Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like, sure, I was like, oh shit, it's you know, the T-1000. Robert Patrick, he was also in The Sopranos, and he's done a lot of like guest work. And to see him as a higher tier villain again was really cool. He's like the evil Iron Man, the Nazi that's trying to take over. Seeing him flying around and have all the tech, and Peacemaker having some of that tech, I kind of expected more of a throwdown between the two because of everything that he was doing. And he had that dope Iron Man type of suit that was the Nazi white dragon with the white. Yeah, they all had the white sheets.
It was definitely crazy. A play on. There was definitely a big play on the KKK.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, it works with. It feels weird because during this time that we're living in right now, where we have white nationalists and
resurgence of these type ideologies.
And not that they ever seem to go away, but it seemed like they were quieter. Or they didn't have such a forefront on our daily lives, you know, appearing in the news. So, but having these villains that are KKK like, but instead of having like the cone head,
right,
they've got like
pillows,
weird pillow sack kind of like two cones because they're following the white dragon, and the dragon has his horns. I think that's what they were trying to do. But it's still relevant to how Peacemaker is in the comic books, because Peacemaker's dad in the books was a Nazi, you know, a legit just Nazi, like during World War II time. But to tell the story that James Gunn wanted to tell, which takes place in the current day, had to change some things a bit, and they made him the White Dragon.
Yep, and I
in the books he's not the White Dragon.
Correct.
But the White Dragon is a real character in DC Comics, and it was an interesting choice to make him go head to head with his son in this way.
Right. I mean, you had this great buildup during the whole series because the dad blames Peacemaker for the killing of his other brother and, you know, White Dragon's other son. But in reality, he keeps making them fight for money. And eventually something like a death would occur when you have two kids bare knuckle throwing down, because so many fights with blows to the head especially can kill you. And
yes, absolutely.
And some of the emotional back and forth for John Cena, seeing that range of, you know, he really felt bad for killing his brother, and he really felt, you know, ultimately it's his father's fault.
There's a lot of heavy themes in here, which was I don't want to say it was unexpected, but I think when people heard that James Gunn was doing the Suicide Squad, and that, you know, it's going to be no holds barred, it's going to be rated R, there's going to be blood and cursing and violence. And I think when people hear these kind of, you know, they hear these words, you don't think much about context or subtext that might be in a plot, the deep story, you know, that is within the script. And I feel like there were a lot of themes, responsibility being one of them. Peacemaker struggling with, he feels responsible for his brother's death. It's partially because he feels responsible for, you know, he's thinking about Rick Flag, you know, killing Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he has that guilt.
Taking responsibility. He's not even anti-killing, but now he wants to make sure that anytime he kills, he's killing for peace. It was it was almost with great power comes great responsibility moment.
Yeah, without saying the trope, right.
Where he's like, you know, is every death, you know, worth it? Like, I'm not just some killer. I'm not just, you know, massacring everybody. He's like, I will kill every man, woman, or child, but in the name of peace.
In the name of peace.
Yeah. So it was an interesting theme.
Yeah.
Seeing responsibility. That said, by the end of the show, there is this going back to the alien. There's a choice he has to make. The aliens' goal is to take over, as we already mentioned, key people to who they feel influence the Earth and will keep it habitable planet.
Yes.
Because their planet has already been destroyed.
Right.
And it seems like the way we're going, the way these fossil fuels is burning up, the way the oil is spilling into everybody, we got climate change, things environmentally seems pretty bad for the Earth right now. And the butterflies want to basically control all of politics to make sure the planet stays healthy and where it needs to be, so we could all live on this, on this Earth. So
it's a weird play, because what they're doing is not really evil. It's like,
but in doing so, you're also taking away people's choice. And he's it's not just, he doesn't just fight for peace, as you can tell by the eagle on his shoulder. He's American. This is the guy who believes in the United States of America. He believes in liberty. As he already mentioned in the Suicide Squad.
Right.
There's a price. It's like, all right, we can have this Earth be as healthy as it needs to be, but at the cost of freedom. Or we can have freedom, but I might doom the planet.
Yeah.
Also, and I think another thing to consider is, if he stops the aliens by basically killing off their only food source, this slug creature that we've been calling a cow, he's also dooming their race. Like whoever's alive, and it seems like there's only like one butterfly alive left, though I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe there's others.
I think some got
away. Without this food source, he's basically doomed them as well.
Yeah.
So it is very much no matter what I do, I am damning a species, it seems. Do you feel PeaceMaker made the right choice?
I would say it's a tough one, because it's a big moral standpoint either way, because yes, you're going to kill off one of the species. Am I saving my own? But yet the species is trying to save my own, even though they have an end goal of taking it over. Whereas, yes, he made the right choice, because the species has to be stopped, because at some point they may end up overproducing and taking over every human, and there's no choice, there's no will.
Right.
Yes, the planet would survive, but there's no real humanity. You would be in the control of the slug people. Well, not really slug people, the butterflies.
Right.
So yes, he made the right choice, but recycle, guys. I'm looking at everybody.
Well, why is it always got to be our responsibility?
I recycle. You got to recycle. Let everybody take. I bought a hybrid. I want to say.
Good job.
I'm doing the right thing. I want to have children's, and I want to have my children's have clean air.
So it's funny, because I don't want to say that there's a right or wrong, because even after PeaceMaker makes the choice of basically just killing the cow, choosing not just America's freedom, but the Earth's freedom to choose, and let us as Earthlings, as humans, sort it out ourselves. He goes and asks Adebayo, member of the crew, and his number 2 best friend.
Yeah.
It's a point where PeaceMaker's not even sure if he made the right choice. He goes and asks her, did I just doom the planet? Did I just kill the planet?
Did I do the right thing?
He's not sure if he did the right thing. And I think that's pretty cool. I don't think we have had a hero movie, or
Marvel nor DC, that ever made the decision or second guessed their decision.
We've seen heroes, we've seen anti-heroes, we've seen mercenaries, we've seen villains in their own starring films. But all of these characters seem very sure of themselves and the choices they're making.
Right.
Even someone like Spider-Man and No Way Home doesn't like that final choice that he has to make, but he seems certain that this is the right choice to make.
Right.
And Peacemaker introduced the concept of the uncertain hero,
Mm-hmm.
the one who, I don't want to say has never had to make any hard choices, but like really does struggle with doubt, isn't so sure of himself. And it was very refreshing to see him in that role. Personally, I don't know what choice I would have made. Part of me thinks maybe I would have sided with the aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm betraying the humans here.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I think even if I made the choice, I'd be as uncertain as John Cena. I'd be like, I don't know if I.
But with ultimately, are they going to end up taking over the whole planet? Is everybody going to have a butterfly?
I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how peaceful because we saw how murdery they were when taking over
right
the police department.
Yeah, that was wild. That was probably one of the best scenes.
I didn't get the vibes that they were trying to take over everybody's body. Although, depending on how they reproduce, if there's too many of them, maybe they would end up.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe they would just be decimating the whole planet.
Yeah.
I mean the humans at least.
Right. Right.
But the as someone who, whenever I vote, and I don't want to get too political because man, our viewers will just go,
you damn libtards.
But well, see, I do fancy myself a liberal person,
mm-hmm.
but I don't think anyone I ever want to take office ever gets office. Much more Green Party than I am, I guess, Democrat.
Okay.
Like I'm very big on the environment, how we address concerns related to infrastructure and the medicine, and that's where my desires are. So if I want a person on either party, red or blue, I'm looking towards the person who steers towards my interest, right? But the person who steers towards my interest, once
Never
again,
wins.
red or blue, is never the one that's chosen as the candidate for the party.
Yeah.
I might just like, you know what? The humans don't agree with me anyway.
Yeah.
I'm choosing Butterfly.
Butterfly 2024.
Yeah, no, if I get the choice,
Butterfly.
I'm happy with it.
All right.
Let's get away from the politics because I can already feel the viewers just going away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the rest of the.
Yes.
Who's your favorite cast member? Why do you love them?
I like Adebayo, and it's a tie between Adebayo and Economos, Diebeard. There's so much in Diebeard that I kind of related to as a, if I was a kid, I could see myself. It's like, oh yeah, that's a lot of, I could see that because he was like the outcast. That. Yeah, I feel it. I wasn't an outcast as a kid, but I always had empathy for the outcast kids. And I always made it a point to like interact with them and make sure they weren't outcasts. So, I wasn't the bully type. I was loud and in charge, but I wasn't like, fuck you, fatty, or, because I was big. But, it was always my point to engage everybody and try to extend the hand of friendship to everybody because I care about people. I guess that's what you would say. And, I just felt like that. I was like, that would be the kid I'd want to hang out with because I feel, and anybody that's my friend, yourself included, don't feel that you're an outcast. I just want to like put that statement out there. None of my friends are outcasts. It's just everybody has their own thing. And I
feel like, I don't know when it began. I don't know if it was like a Seth Rogen knocked up kind of thing, but I feel like there's been a major development in movies that have been creating coming of age movies, but for the middle-aged person.
Right.
And so some of the challenges we see characters facing are a lot like characters we see children playing. And because we think about struggling with acceptance and body issues and fitting in and being part of a group as a children thing, not really as an adult thing. Having Economos go and speak about, especially his little monologue at the end where he talks about, finally admits that he does dye his beard, why he dyes his beard, why he dyes it the way he dyes it.
Right.
He's like, maybe I should have coughed up the extra money for Chanel, or Pantene Pro V or whatever it is you need. I should have just coughed up that extra money.
Now, let me ask you something. Were you surprised that most of the cast made it out?
You know what? Oof, maybe. I wasn't expecting them to go, but I thought the final episode was done so well where it was really like, oh, shoot, we might really lose Harcourt.
Yeah.
Which we didn't. I didn't think watching the show we were going to lose anyone. And we did lose someone, not in the final episode, but
earlier on,
we did lose someone, but
Clemson Munn,
I didn't. But the final episode was done so well. Wow, we might really lose somebody. We might lose more than one person. And it's they played on my emotions. They got me good.
They did. Yeah.
I think for me, my favorite characters might have been Adebayo and Vigilante.
Oh, Vigilante. Okay.
Vigilante was so fun. Like
he was a fun character. He was a good sidekick.
He was an idiot, but Peacemaker was an idiot. But just because they were idiots, they weren't. It wasn't like Beavis and Butthead. You know, they had varying opinions. They would find themselves disagreeing a lot. And in some ways, Vigilante was the little brother that Peacemaker never got to have. I'm not saying that he replaced Peacemaker's older brother. But it kind of did feel like they weren't just best friends. They were like siblings squabbling. I enjoyed their chemistry. I thought most of the cast had great chemistry. That said, there is someone who I just felt like wasn't that great at fitting in. So I'm going to bring that up now because let's dive into some pros and cons.
Yeah.
Pros. Well, I'm going to say the con first since I already used the con as the segue.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love Harcourt's chemistry with the group.
Yeah, she was definitely like the badass outcast. Like she wanted to almost be the main protagonist in my own perspective.
I feel like she was supposed to be like the number two.
Yeah.
You know, when we lose, when we lost Mern, Clemson Mern was leading the group. Harcourt was primed to take over that position.
Right.
And I felt like when they announced, hey, you be the leader, that was supposed to be a big moment. And I didn't really feel anything.
No.
And I don't know if it's because they didn't dive into her much. Like we dove into Adebayo. We know about her relationship with her mother. We know about her relationship with
her
Peacemaker,
wife.
Her relationship with her wife.
Yeah.
We know about Economos. We get to see. We don't dig deep into Vigilante, but you know, we spend some time with him,
right?
And getting to know him, even caring about him a bit.
Yeah, and they even get into White Dragon.
Yeah, we don't really get into Harcourt, and maybe we'll get into that in season two.
Yeah.
We'll see some of her past, but in this one, it really just felt like she was primed to be a potential love interest. And she was going to be the leader. She's the badass of the group. She's all dressed in black. She's good with her weapon. She is the tactical expert in the group. But aside from just kind of being like the buzzkill when everybody else was having fun.
Yeah, she knocks everybody down a peg. Yeah.
And constantly walking with like a smolder, like it kind of reminded me of like The Rock in Jumanji when he was doing the smolder. Like Harcourt was just kind of walking around, just lips puckered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And me and Alicia were laughing about that. Just like, why's her face always doing that?
Yeah. Look at that puss. Like,
yeah, it's really didn't feel much for her. She warms up to the group towards
mainly at the end. Yeah. Took the whole show.
And I don't want to say that she was bad because I didn't dislike her, but I just didn't feel like it was gelling and not enough time was given to her to really make me feel much for her big moments, so to speak.
Right.
So I hope they improve on that in season 2.
Agreed.
Pros, I think my pros is just about everything else that we've talked about so far, because the group itself, including some of the side characters that don't like really matter in the grand scheme of things, like Judo Master. Judo Master didn't really matter that much, but Judo Master was fun. The janitor in the hospital really doesn't matter at all, but he was fun.
Right.
The next door neighbor that you brought up, it's fun. Like these people, they had very small roles, but they still get to be in the dance.
Yeah.
The cops that got taken over by the aliens, they were fun. I really felt that there was some really good casting. I loved everyone. Like everyone did a bang up job.
I totally agree. For me, the biggest con was the cow. I was expecting something else. I thought it was going to be some type of deity for them, or something with powers, not some giant slug they're sucking off the teat of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the cow's not even a bad guy.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck? Like that really threw me
literally
off.
Just an animal
that they're feeding on.
Hangs in the balance of.
Right. And it totally threw me off because I was like, wait a minute, it's not like a animatronic thing that they got to fight, or what does it eat? Like, what is it doing? It's just there, and they can feed off of it. And it's underground.
I feel like James Gunn, and I'd have to ask him in person because I don't know. This is all just theory.
I'll give him a call. Maybe we'll get him on the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. I'll tweet him.
when you have the Suicide Squad, their major villain, so to speak, it's very similar how it lines up with the Suicide Squad, because you have Starro as the villain in the Suicide Squad, and Starro is not even really a villain, very much like the Slug, or the cow, I should say, is not a villain. In comics, Starro is a villain.
Mm-hmm.
In the Suicide Squad, Starro was a prisoner. He was captured, and the job was to take out Starro. And we kind of see Starro as a victim in the Suicide Squad. And I'm wondering exactly what James Gunn's emotion is about what his feelings or intentions are about trying to maybe humanize or make victims out of, or just shows a lot of empathy towards these giant kaiju.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we find ourselves thinking, damn, like that monster ain't even do nothing wrong. At least in Starro was like
he throwing
running over people, was actually killing people.
Right.
This time the cow did nothing wrong.
No, it just existed.
There, like,
yeah. Oh my god.
Giving off this honey stuff from the teat, and
yeah, that was my only gripe with the show, is that it was so strange. My pros were the acting chops of John Cena and the cute little scene in the classroom that you had mentioned before. If you could get into that, because I think you phrased it so well.
Oh no, well, off camera, you and me were joking about John Cena and being known for being just John Cena in WWE, and you can't see me.
Right.
And just an example of some good writing that just happens in the show, when PeaceMaker shows up to a child's show and tell segment at school, he's such a douchebag that the kids just immediately turn on him. When challenged, PeaceMaker goes and asks the kid, what's your problem? He's like, why are you such a douchebag? And the kid says back to him, he's like, I see through you. And I just thought that was so smart, because like for so long we were told, oh, we can't see John Cena. He's like, you can't see me, and then we play along with it. Oh, can't see you.
Yeah.
And now this kid is like, oh no, I see right through you.
I thought the writing of the show was fantastic, and it's it's just a testament on how good and how much time they spent to get it right. And I think this should be the template for DC going forward, as a writing and editing perspective. They shouldn't kind of make it choppy and out of context. They should try to start at a start and end at an end. Don't try to do all these fancy artistic things. Just give us a movie, give it to us straight, entertain us and then in between. And I think that this is a very big win for DC, and it kind of lays the groundwork for that.
Well, I'm glad you said that. It makes this next transition so much easier. Still have some questions.
Okay.
At the end of PeaceMaker, we see the appearance of the Justice League.
Love that.
PeaceMaker's been talking shit about other superheroes.
You've been fucking
the entire time. He's been making fun of Batman, Superman, Green Arrow, Aquaman. I didn't expect to see the Justice League, and more specifically, I didn't expect to see, was his name Urza
Miller, yeah.
Urza Miller and Jason Momoa reprising their roles as Flash and Aquaman with speaking roles. And it's interesting because there is an individual kind of movie thing happening with DC, the DC extended universe, so to speak.
Right.
Where we see movies like Joker, and we have the Batman coming out. Wonder Woman doesn't seem so tied to what she was introduced to in Snyder's version of the Justice League. So I don't know if there's plans to bring her back to the Justice League or if she's just going to stay a solo act. We still don't know. People who have followed you know that you have an issue with the Snyderverse fans.
Yeah, I do.
And they've been very unhappy with the idea that the Flash movie is going to undo the Snyderverse. And I don't think there is a Snyderverse, honestly. That's the way I'm about it now. It's not like Snyder owns the rights to these characters.
Exactly.
There is no Snyderverse. So
get over it. Let it go.
But I am interested in seeing what stays connected and what doesn't. And it looks like PeaceMaker, Gunn Suicide Squad, which included characters like Harley Quinn, it seems like, at least for now, that's all canon and it's staying together. So I too am curious about what this means for Flash, what this means for Black Adam, what this means for, because I know The Rock wants he wants to take on Superman, and he wants he wants Henry Cavill as Superman. He wants that battle to happen.
And I do too. And this is the weird thing I have with the Snyderverse people. I like the casting choices. I just don't like the way they portrayed the characters.
Right.
And I don't like the grit. Like, you don't bring Superman into a gritty, dark film. Superman is the beacon of truth, justice, the American way, which is changing. I forget the new mantra, but he's the shining light, the Boy Scout. And he, even though he had superpowers, once he learned how to control them, he managed and he helped people regardless. And that's what I like about Superman. He wasn't brooding. He wasn't,
Right.
But Henry Cavill does such a great job as Superman.
Right.
That I'm like, no, don't lose him. He's really good. So if we could just get over ourselves for a minute. I know that they did such a great success, but I think that was a grift by the studio because there was so much outpour for it that they said, you know what? Whatever. If it makes us money, let's do it.
Right.
And they released this 4-hour epic and gave him a couple of bucks to finish it out. I think that the fans don't realize that they were being used.
Right.
Because in the end, whatever verse you get, they're going to make money if you show up.
Whatever verse.
Yeah, whatever verse.
So you brought up an interesting thing there, talking about Superman, where he's used, how he's used. Because I don't feel like Superman fits into the the James Gunn Suicide Squad either. Like you had all this cursing, you got John Cena's ass, you got there's sex scenes, there's it's very gory. And they didn't cast someone, well they cast someone to play the role of Superman's, I guess, double.
Right. He's just floating around.
Superman's silhouette was there.
Yeah.
But Superman doesn't actually, you don't see Superman's face. Superman,
you don't even see the S
lines in PeaceMaker.
Yeah.
But Momoa does, Miller does, and they talk about the rumor of
him fucking fish.
Yeah, him fucking fish. The Superman fit into this kind of movie too.
Yeah.
Like, you have Superman there with all these people cursing around him.
Of course.
Like, do you want Henry Cavill there just doing his Witcher? Fuck.
He doesn't have to curse, but I think he could be the moral ground, the moral standing ground. Like, do you really have to say language? Like Captain America, how they do it so well with him.
Right.
It's the same. It's a
but
parallel.
There's still not so much cursing in the MCU.
No. There's not. But still, it's that same ideal that this character is supposed to be the moral compass of everybody.
Right.
Kind of take it. Yeah, you can do all that stuff, and that happens because you have Lobo in the comics that's just vulgar and brooding and curses.
True enough. True enough.
And then
Good
you have
point.
Superman bringing, oh, whoa, come on, let's get back to true north, you know?
Right. Do you have any expectations or things that you want to see in season 2?
I want to see more with the cast, the exterior cast. I want to see more with Diebeard and Adebayo and Harcourt and Economos. I think there's a lot of room. We're gonna hopefully go past the giant slug creature and get into something else. I'm very curious as to where it's gonna go, especially now that Peacemaker is seeing White Dragon in his mind everywhere. Right. Now that White Dragon is deceased. Spoilers, yes. But
we spoiled so much already.
It's too late. It's too late. But that's where I really want to go with this. I'd like to see some other villains. DC has a large fray of villains that are very underutilized. Like Batman's always going with Penguin, Joker, Riddler, Bane. Batman also has Clayface, Two-Face. I mean, Two-Face has kind of been up quite a bit, but you know, Clockmaster, Clockwork. You have so many different characters and villains that Batman has that are like Man-Bat, that are very big and hard to deal with for Batman. He spends a lot of issues dealing with Man-Bat because it's not like anything he's faced before. So it would be interesting if we can get some type of, you know, exterior view as to some of the other villains in the DC universe, because there's a ton, and some of them are terrible, like almost like Mega Man villains, Elect Man, but some of them are very deep and interesting, like Clayface. So I would love to see some other, like a big bad for the next season.
Understandable. There's a lot of things that we have to look forward to because more questions are available than before. Like, so the things I'm looking forward to is what's next for Peacemaker. You know, that's the big thing. You know, he's not retiring.
No.
He may be limited to the amount of helmets he has now. So how broken he is as a character, how many power-ups he has may be limited. He's still Peacemaker. I'm wondering what happens next for Amanda Waller. One of the big things that happens towards the end, Adebayo exposes Task Force X, which is what we know as the Suicide Squad, and outs Amanda Waller as the person who's running the whole thing. So how does that affect Amanda Waller? Is she on the run now? Does the government pretend that they didn't know about it?
Yeah.
And use Waller as a scapegoat? Does Waller continue doing Suicide Squad even after being exposed? That's another question that I have. And if the Suicide Squad is still a thing, will Peacemaker still be part of it? We see Economos goes back. When he goes back to work, he's going right back to Belle Reve prison,
right?
Which is a famous prison for people who are more than just, you know, Batman fans. There's more than just Blackgate Prison and Arkham.
And Arkham, yeah. There's a ton of these things.
There are other prisons, and Belle Reve is supposed to be one of the worst, even worse than Arkham Asylum. But if you only know or care about Batman, you're not going to believe that. But Economos does go back there. So if someone else is running Suicide Squad, who's going to run it? So I'm curious about her. I'm curious about Peacemaker, what happens for his future. Those are like my two big worries. What other characters we will see? I do have a hope. There's a character we've been seeing, like C-list, not even B-list, C-list level characters with Peacemaker and
Judo Master,
Vigilante and Judo Master. So my hope, my pick for who I want to see in the next season, I need to see Gangbuster.
Oh, wow!
I want to see Gangbuster. I don't think he's ever been in like Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon. I don't think he's been in Young Justice. I don't think he's been in Justice League Unlimited, like not even in the background when they're all on the Javelin. I got to double check. And that's not a problem because I love that show and I don't mind watching it again just to see if he's in the background. But if we're like scraping at the bottom of the barrel to get characters that don't get recognized or used very often, then I want Gangbuster to appear in the next season.
That would be interesting because his suit is really cool. He's got that
You
bullet.
like the Gangbuster outfit?
I do like the Gangbuster. It's a very 80s like superhero villain type of suit with
Didn't
the
he have nunchucks?
Yeah, he has nunchucks.
Yeah.
He has like a bullet helmet
Bust him
too.
up with
Yeah, so I think that would be a good maybe antagonist for PeaceMaker. That would be kind of cool.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really good choice.
Here's the thing. I agree with you that I might for the next one actually want like a central villain for have that one-on-one confrontation, that showdown between hero and villain. I do want that. We didn't get enough of that. But I don't want it to be someone well known. I want it to just be this really obscure character where everyone's just like, what?
Yeah.
Who? Like I don't want
Sportsmaster.
Yeah, I would love to see a live version of Sportsmaster because Sportsmaster does show up. Like I feel like Sportsmaster in Young Justice has done so well.
Yeah, that's true.
He's and has appeared in Batman and Brave and the Bold. So Sportsmaster gets some love at least.
Yeah. Gangbuster gets nothing.
Yeah. I want to scrape the bottom of this barrel so bad.
That's great. He's like going in the empty peanut butter can, like really getting the Q-tip to get that last sip.
So, ladies and gentlemen watching, let me know who you want to see show up. Let me know what your expectations are for season 2, because guess what? We're done here, everybody.
Yeah,
we are done. We are wrapping it up. Thank you, Joe, for joining us here and talking with me, with everyone on Comic Conversation. Of course, you can see there on the bottom, we have a Patreon page now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and check out patreon.com/tobeseen. You can join us and just help us do the day-to-day things that we do to keep this channel up and running. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at Lewis or Brandon. Where can they find you, Joe Dove?
You can find me at Joe Apombo or at To Be Seen on Twitter. And you can also listen to the wondrous sounds of musicscapes and friends that I've come across in time and space on the podcast Disc Dungeon, DISK, because we're going deep into the darkest depths of your computer disc to put you on to musics and melodies. You can also find me doing the new horror themed Trailer Fiend with Billy from the website. And up and coming, I'm going to be working with our friends in Australia from Pop Culture Spread. Big hello to them. Ozzy, oi, oi, oi. We are combining our efforts, and we're going to be doing the first show. It's going to be called Captain's Quadrant. And Jason and I are going to be working on that together. So I'm super excited for that. And of course, popping up on Comic Conversation as often as I possibly can, as much as he'll let me.
So that'll be it. And of course, I feel like we teased it in the last video I was in. We have more plans coming up with the good people at Pop Culture Spread. So stay tuned for that. Whenever we're ready to talk about that, we'll talk about it. But it's coming. It's coming. All right. And hope you enjoyed the show. That'll be all, everybody. Have a good one.